Design is more than aesthetics. You know that. It's about understanding how people live, move, and connect with their spaces. In this episode of the show, you're going to love this. I sit down with Kristin Mullen and explore how sourcing, observation, and thoughtful decision-making shape interiors that feel authentic and functional, from round top to kitchen design to client relationships. The conversation reveals why the best work begins and ends with listening and purpose. A thoughtful conversation, really, on antiques, design philosophy, client trust, and why the most successful spaces are built on intention rather than trend. Today, you're going to hear from designer Kristin Mullen. We're exploring the deeper thinking behind successful interior design, where process, perspective, and human behavior matter as much as aesthetics, product, and material. The conversation opens with a discussion of the Round Top Antique Show, which Kristin describes as an essential destination for designers seeking character, craftsmanship, and pieces with history, which makes perfect sense. While digital sourcing has its place both in the real world and online, nothing replaces the experience of seeing and understanding objects in person. Round Top in particular offers an immersive environment that encourages discovery, education, and creative connection. So important with products that you just might not see these items anywhere else ever again. From there, the conversation turns inward, and we examine how a designer's background and worldview shape their approach. Kristin shares how her early training in speech and language pathology sharpened her ability to read clients, recognize unspoken preferences, and interpret behavior. Gosh, it's so important. Skills that now inform every project she takes on. That sensitivity, paired with her passion for antiques, results in spaces that feel layered, personal, and grounded in story rather than surface level trends. And you hear me talking about trends all the time. And the reason why it's because it's really important. You got to be diligent. You got to fight this battle on a daily basis because the trends just don't stop. A central theme throughout this episode is redefining what value means in design. And it's this idea that good design is about price or status, because it's not. Instead, we focus on how meaningful spaces come from clarity, intention, and thoughtful editing. The role of the designer, she explains often how to simplify, helping clients focus on what truly matters and guiding them away from choices that don't support how they actually live, which is hard sometimes when everyone's on social media, right? And the conversation continues into kitchens. We've been talking about kitchens a lot lately because I can't imagine a space, I just can't think of a space in the home, specifically in residential design and architecture, where a room has changed as dramatically as the kitchen has. There is this importance of planning for real habits rather than idealized ones, and how photography trends often misinterpret how spaces are actually used. You can't tell how a space is used by the pages of a design magazine. You just can't. And the evolution of kitchen design, it reflects broader changes in how homes function as multi-use environments. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I enjoyed having it with Kristin. She's amazing, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I hope you do. And you're going to hear it all right after this. At the highest level of design, the absolute best specifying designers, architects, landscape designers are all highly focused on the technology and performance of products and materials today. You have to, because the products you specify for your projects have to perform and they have to last. That's one of the reasons why I am so proud to be working with TimberTech. Their focus on the technical renaissance of synthetic decking is literally changing the conversation about innovation and performance. It pulls focus on three priorities homeowners have and expect from the products their designers and architects specify for their luxury projects. One, aesthetics must match the overall design and fit visually. Two, durability and maintenance. I've told you about my board flipping stories from my own wood decks. Clients not only want beauty, but they want ease of use, and they want it to last for decades. Three, sustainably made. Clients are more conscious of the environment now, and they want the same of their materials. TimberTech hits each one of these elements with a product that not only meets expectations, they exceed them. TimberTech makes a synthetic decking that looks just like wood, color and embossed wood grain for a natural appearance. Their composite decking is technologically superior, as it has been created to last for decades, and it's manufactured with up to 85% recycled material. Their advanced PVC, vintage, and landmark collections have a Class A flame spread rating, making these products an amazing choice for wildfire-prone areas, which unfortunately continues to grow on the risk map. Check the show notes for more information about this and to find the nearest showroom or lumberyard where you can find TimberTech, or you can check them out directly, timbertech.com. As we started talking a little bit, you mentioned that you are in Round Top. Do
Yes.
you know that, well, you don't know, but I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
Uh, Round Top is one of the places that I've never been, and I desperately want to go. Unfortunately, it always happens at a time that is just completely inconvenient for
Yes.
me. I'm gonna tell me what I'm missing.
Oh gosh. Round Top is it is the mecca for all sorts of amazing antiques, of every type and stripe. If mid-century modern is your thing, this is where you need to come. If European antiques are your thing, this is where you need to come. American antiques, this is where you need to come. If you need a Rob's Big Boy figurine that's
Oh,
life size,
Bob's Big
this,
Boy with the
yeah,
hamburger?
yes,
Oh, I grew
yes,
up with that.
yes,
Who
yes.
doesn't need that?
I know, right? Like seriously, if you were furnishing a commercial space or restaurant or hotel or what have you, you go to the fields out here and it's mind-blowing what you can find. Lots and lots of quirky things, lots of spectacularly beautiful things. You are missing, I would say, the experience of finding an extraordinary Swedish secretary in the middle of a cow pasture, is sort of what you're missing. And then on top of it, it's sort of become the last few years a whole scene, which you may or may not love, but it's there are a lot of the female shoppers that come here really feel the need to find their inner cowgirl, and so that's quite the scene, quite the scene. So yeah, but it as a designer, I would say that this show is is unmissable. If you had to choose between doing High Point and coming to this show, I would say come to this show. You can do High Point once a year and then do Round Top the other season. But what you can find and source, not just in terms of furniture, but art, decor, accessories, all of the extras that you need for those finishing touches, it's all here.
It begs the question, doesn't it, that when it comes to the events, it's really interesting because for years, we've been talking about the design events
Yes.
and how to navigate this. You have something like a KBIS and KBA,
Mhm.
which you can't miss that once a year.
Right.
This was the first year I was invited to go and host the podcast studio at CEDIA Expo and CIX in Denver. I
Hmm.
don't know if you've ever been to that, but you know what's really interesting? I was surprised because it was my first time there. I didn't see any interior designers. I didn't see any architects. And I asked a number of the people who have been on the show over the past, 13 years, are you going this year? I would say half of them said no, and the other half said, what's CEDIA? Well, when smart home technology and lighting and integration, I think maybe wasn't as important to the interior design community as I think it has to be now. And that's just
Yes,
one of those examples. But I think, so KBIS is a must attend, CDS CIX, every year, if not every other year, to to go and see what's happening. Like this year in lighting was incredible. But Round Top is one of those where you kind of have to go
you
because it's
do.
so important.
Yes, it is. And you can't, you just, it's literally irreplaceable as a sourcing opportunity because everything is one of a kind, or most everything is one of a kind. And so, you can't, well, I should say, we do have designers reach out to us on Instagram. And since we made the decision to put up a website with all of our wonderful wares. We do have people reach out to us virtually and say, "Hey, I love that. Can you give me some more information, etc." And we ship things out and whatnot. But that's I mean, that's our one little booth, and there are literally thousands, right? And so, it's impossible for you to get the feeling of being at Round Top without actually being at Round Top. And you owe it to yourself to go. The only thing I would say is you will want to make reservations like way in advance. This place is tiny, tiny, tiny. And so, yeah, you need to plan ahead, which for a lot of us is pretty challenging.
Yeah, no, that's a great call. Question for you.
Yeah.
Because it's antiques, because it's one of a kind, has that influenced or impacted the way you design? Do you perhaps skew a little bit more old world, traditional, to surround antiques? Do you maybe add antiques where you might not otherwise? Has it impacted the manner in which you design, you create?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, 100%. I've always loved antiques. I have not, and I will say, I need to hasten to add, I do not love all antiques. Just because it's old doesn't mean it speaks to me. But uh, even when I'm doing a much more contemporary project, I love to bring in, whether it's old crockery or fantastic primitive wood bowls that have been aged or what have you. I think regardless of the type of design that you're working on, there is a space for antiques. They give a space such an incredible sense of soulfulness and history and patina and interest that a modern production piece just really can't really emulate. So I think they're really important to add to work, and it certainly has impacted mine. Because I'm sourcing for the business now in Europe a few times a year. I'm also sourcing for clients when I'm there, and so it means that the pieces I'm able to bring back for clients, I think, are better than they were before I really embarked on this side of my business.
And what's fun for me too is doing a little bit of research on you and now listening to how you speak and how you refer to the business and to pieces and to sort of the vernacular. What's interesting to me is you studied at Northwestern University and NYU,
Yeah.
and you've got a degree in speech and language pathology. How
Yes.
does that relate to interior design?
Gosh, not at all. I mean,
Okay.
in no way, shape, or form. I and to be frank, I majored in speech and language pathology because my mother very much did not want me to major in theater, and so she did not want me to starve, and so So in any case, and so my love of decoration, of decor, and furniture and antiques really does go back to my mom. She was an avid home decorator, loved antiques. Now she was very much an American country, American folk art kind of a gal. That was not that's not where my heart lives, but that was very much a part of what I knew growing up. But I'm not like, you talk with other designers and they'll tell you, oh, I was rearranging my bedroom when I was 12 years old, or I was painting, what have you, right? They're all telling you that, or they're doing, I didn't do any of that. I was definitely much more into, into reading books and as I said, I loved theater. So that was more my creative outlet. Uh, and oh, I will say this, my mom had a clothing store. And so I was always the one that did the windows. Now that's not the stereotypical. I was the window dresser for Ralph Lauren that a lot of other designers have as a background. But in any case, so that was sort of part of my background. And then the the French and Swedish antiques sort of passion really began when I was commuting to NYU. There were two phenomenal antique stores between my subway station and my classes at NYU. And the one had the most beautiful stripped and bleached French pine. It just wonderful and really clean lines, and just the patina was really wonderful. And then the other one was all Swedish antiques, and with just that spectacular painted glow that Swedish antiques have, and just that simplicity of form. And I was smitten then, and I continue to be.
So help me for
Mm,
a second. Will you bridge the gap? And by the way, let me preface this by saying, when it comes to merchandising,
yes,
when it comes to window design, and what you're talking about to me is akin to what a set decorator would do, or if you were doing theater at NYU,
yes,
what the theater department, what the props department, what the set decorators would be doing to is not dissimilar from your accessorizing on a project at all. It's the
no,
same thing.
no,
You're
it
telling
is.
a story. You're crafting
Yeah,
a story based on character, right?
that's
And
exactly right. That is
that's what
exactly right.
designers do.
It is what designers do.
Where is the connection between your degree in speech and language pathology and you becoming the interior designer?
Gosh, I would say that the the one of the things about the speech pathology, and I did not end up by becoming a speech pathologist, but one of the things about speech pathology that's extraordinarily important is the diagnostics, right? You have to pay attention to very tiny clues. You have to be really, really mindful, and you have to be 100% focused on the person, right? As they're speaking to you, paying attention to how their muscles move, their expressions, their mannerisms, etc. And so it's a matter of really focus, right? And so I think to be a good interior designer, you have to bring that same set of observational skills and that same sense of focus to your client, right? You need to be listening very, very hard to them. You need to be picking up on all of those nonverbal clues. You need to be able to be subtly sort of taking in their environment, clocking the photos of their recent vacation, etc. So I think it teaches you a sense of, or it gives you a kit of observational skills that I use, in that part of the process for me as a designer. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, which is kind of like, and thank you for taking me kind of where I wanted to go. One of the things, as I was, sort of reading up on you and preparing for our conversation, I started thinking about a couple of things, and walking the dog, walking Rosie this morning helped me kind of galvanize a thought or two that I wanted
Sure.
to bring up with you. It's really interesting if you talk to architects, and they will say, architecture is a language. I get it.
Yeah.
I have often said, and I believe this, well, let me back up. Over the years, I said that if architecture is a language, and I believe it is, then design is a more nuanced dialect. And
Yes.
I don't believe that's true anymore. My thought process has kind of changed. I think design is a philosophy because there isn't just one, and you can have two different ideas that work. They're not, they can be mutually exclusive and still work and gel and vibe for an individual client. But familiarity breeds contempt, right? And after doing this show for 13 years, some things have kind of that I wanted to talk to you about, and specifically as it relates to language and design,
Yes.
because you get it. I feel like you understand.
Yes.
There are two words in the design lexicon that I think have become dirty words.
Okay.
And I'm tired of hearing them, but you can't do your job as an interior designer without addressing them. Have I piqued your interest?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
dying to know.
Trend,
Yeah.
luxury.
Mm.
I I I think that the second, like trend, is interesting because trendy is where it becomes a dirty word, is where it becomes bad. When
Yes.
something becomes trendy, it's ephemeral, it's temporary, it's kind of a throwaway, it's fast fashion, it's not important, it's just relevant right now,
Right.
which isn't always the case, but that's usually the way it goes.
Yes.
Luxury has become, it's just so lazy. It's a catch-all. It doesn't
It is.
mean anything.
Yes.
And I'm curious because you can't avoid the word luxury in interior design.
Right.
How do you navigate around that? And when you're talking to your clients, how do you discuss the tenets of luxury by what's important to them? Because the word means something different to every client, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And I think you have to kind of go into the conversation recognizing that, you know, the services that you are providing, right? The design itself and the execution of the design, that is a luxury. We are providing a luxury for clients. It's something that they do not have to do for themselves. It's you're providing them with a home and experience uh, that they would not be able to provide if they were left to their own devices. And it's something, quite frankly, that, the vast majority of people cannot afford. So when it's something that is not affordable to the vast majority of people, we toss out the word luxury. Um, I will say that I don't tend to use that word very much when I'm talking to my clients. Not because I necessarily am, because I don't think it's applicable, really. I think it's sort of a given as we're entering into this conversation that, that the fact that we're going to have this relationship is a luxury for them, and that's sort of where things kind of end as far as that terminology is concerned. When we talk about when we talk about things that are, you know, rare, unique, uh, desirable for their qualities. Those are the terms that I prefer to use, right? One of a kind, one of one, handmade, um, all of which, all of which can denote luxury, but to me, it's much more important that the the object or the piece is desirable for what it is and what it means to the client and the design than that it is a shorthand for luxury. I am not the designer for you if you want to design your home to impress your neighbors. If you want to, have somebody walk in and immediately clock, all of these extraordinarily expensive things, and they're going to know that they're expensive things. I'm not your girl. That doesn't mean that there aren't some pieces in every project that are, quite dear, but I prefer that those pieces are a little bit more anonymous in terms of their presence in a room. I don't need to have a Birkin bag, if you will, in a room.
You are listening to my conversation with interior designer Kristin Mullen. We'll be right back. If you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you've heard me say this, that the most important word in the design industry is service. Product is important, price is important, selection is important, but stellar service is the premier idea that can make all the difference in the success of a project, any project. How design professionals like you demand great service and your favorite brands in one place with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commission sales professionals. It's really important. It means that their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales, Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that with over 60 years of experience in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. Now, you have the Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. Earn 3% in Best Buy gift cards, e-gift cards, or 2.5% in rewards checks for every qualified and delivered sale. In addition to special trade pricing, exclusive offers, access to exclusive special events, and so much more than I could possibly tell you about here. And the cherry on top is access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands and the stellar service, again, from a company that has been serving the industry for over 60 years. Terms and conditions apply to the Pro Rewards program and builder trade incentives. So visit a Pacific Sales expert at a showroom today for full details and to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. The Design Hardware Showroom is a space where specifiers can go and find an incredible selection of high-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware, and so much more. Select products are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. You will find everything you're looking for, even the products by brands you didn't know you didn't know. Surprise and delight. Am I right? All under one roof on 3rd Street in Los Angeles, just up the street from the Grove. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find inspiration, collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your specification list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com, at Design Hardware and Flooring on the socials, or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles. I want to challenge you on something.
Sure.
I want to challenge you on the idea that interior design and utilizing the services of an interior designer is a luxury.
Okay.
I say that because I feel, and I have said this before, and I believe this,
Yes.
that luxury is it's not associated with the fact that design and what design provides should be a right, not a privilege.
Okay.
I mean that in a very simple, we're going to look through some of your work
Okay.
in a little while, but there's something that you did in the Hamptons show house,
Yes.
that kitchen in the Hamptons show house. As I look at that, I don't believe, and by the way, I have to preface this, I always do, that yes, everyone, I get that this is a podcast and it's audio and we're talking about something visual.
Yes.
And I encourage you to go to Kristin Mullen Designs, plural.com and go to the portfolio page and you can follow along. So this Hamptons show house.
Yes.
As I look at this,
Yes.
I think that this kitchen, it's a kitchenette.
So it was actually a potting room.
Okay, okay, perfect.
So yeah, so it's like
Perfect.
that's like intended to be a potting table. So anyway, and
Perfect.
like ridiculously glammed up version of a potting room, right? I mean, like Bunny Mellon would be so jealous. But anyway,
Totally get it. Totally get it.
so
Potting
yeah,
room. Love it. Okay. The kitchenette area where the
yes,
where the sink is and the
yes,
skirted sink. I don't think that anything there, it looks to me, it's an image, so I can't tell, but it looks like the sink is it galvanized or is it stone?
yes, galvanized.
Yeah. I don't think that anything there is ultra expensive.
No, no, no,
The
no.
art, the art is in the edit, and the
Yes.
edit is what an interior designer provides.
Yes, the edit is what the interior designer provides, which is why that's the name of our e-commerce site is the edit. Yes, it is the edit is what the interior designer provides, but you have to, for the average person, right? Will they value that edit enough to secure the services of a designer, and that's really the crux of it. And our firms kind of come up with an answer to that. Like we can talk about that later, but yes, I think that's more the luxury part of it is like, you're coming up with your yearly budget or your monthly budget, right? And you're like, oh, I need to budget money so that I can have a designer provide this to me, right? And so that's more discretionary spending, right? Than for people. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I get that. And I think my point is that so much of what you do,
yeah,
it's interesting because if you look at what a lot of the conversations are, Business of Home, Arc Digest, if you look at any of the websites, if you look at any of the former designers who have now become coaches, um, budgets and budgeting and billable hours and how do you do this and how do you do that? Ultimately, it kind of feels like the industry has forgotten that it comes down to an individual like you
yes,
talking to a couple or a client or an individual
mhm,
like your clients
yes,
and paying attention and
yes,
having a
yes,
conversation about color and
yes.
about feel and about life and about
Mhm.
how you live, what you want aspirationally. There's a difference. If you could wake up every single morning and walk into a room that is ill-designed
Yes.
and have a feeling every morning when you walk into that room.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
You can also walk into a room that has been well designed
Hmm.
every morning
Yes.
and have a feeling
Hmm.
that improves your quality of life.
Yes.
We can have the debate on what amount of money is worth that feeling every day. It's almost like a
I
cost per use,
know.
right?
Right. No, no, absolutely. 100%. And it's one of the reasons, I write a blog. Um, you know, I I try to convey, I don't know, not trade secrets, but I try to convey to people um, how they can achieve on their own, some of what interior designers can bring to a space. Of course, that's hard to do, when you're just sort of just spewing it out into the atmosphere and in the ether. But I do think there are some pretty basic fundamental things that the average person, can probably try to figure out with a little bit of coaching. But no, you're right. It is very much about the relationship that that a designer has with their client, and that exchange of, of information and whatnot. You know, I use the word, I use a lot of feeling words when I talk with clients, right? Because at the end of the day, what you want is for that space to feel amazing to them, right? For them to recognize when they walk in the room that this room makes them feel whatever it is that the intent behind the design is. Do we want them to feel relaxed or peaceful, or really productive or joyful, or what have you? And I think that maybe in terms of what you're talking about, when people get so involved with the process, right, and the back end, you forget that it's the feeling that you want to evoke for those clients when they walk into that room or that home or what have you, right?
Yeah, which is why, and it's really interesting. Like if you go to Arc Digest and you go to their YouTube channel, and it is littered, it is cluttered with the hundreds of videos of celebrity homes,
Yes.
and it's fluff. It's without meaning. It's beautiful.
Yes.
You can tell it's incredibly expensive,
Yes.
but it's not personal.
It's
And
not evocative, right?
yeah, and I love that you brought up the blog because you wrote a post in August, the four unsung heroes of the home,
Yes.
and the quiet workhorses with big potential.
Yes.
And look, when talking about design and evaluating cost per use and a
Mhm.
budget for design with clients, the mudroom is a secondary.
Yes.
The laundry room is an afterthought. The pantry, while incredibly important, is, I would imagine, not something that most clients would say, okay, let's really zero in on the
Yes.
pantry. But it's so important.
It is. It is. It is. And I would say that for me, I've always been ruthlessly pragmatic about things. I always tell clients, I think it's really important for them to spend their money where they're going to be spending their time. And that's sort of the opposite of what, a lot of these images that you're talking about on Arc Digest are, right? I mean, it's the spectacular living room, and it's the drop dead entry, and it's the dining room that's, just incredibly glamorous. Well, okay, you know, are you using those rooms day in and day out, right? And I love your cost per use analysis. I love that. Okay, what is your cost per use of those rooms, versus, you know, the kitchen, the breakfast room, the family room off of the kitchen, all of those, all of those workhorse spaces, you are in them all the time. Your bedroom, your bathroom, um, so I like to try to sort of steer my clients toward, making sure that those rooms are the rooms that really speak to them, that feed their soul, right? The other rooms, you use the word fluff. Yeah, there is that they, I love creating them. I'd like to think that I'm pretty decent at it, but I want to make sure that the areas where you are spending the most of your time are really addressed first and foremost, and not just in terms of how they feel or what have you, but how they function, right? You want to be able to, when you're designing a kitchen, you want your hand to go immediately to where that silverware drawer should be. So,
Absolutely. And the cost per use is something that I've kind of brought with me from my radio days decades ago.
hmm
It's an interesting idea,
hmm
especially because when you're sitting down with clients for the first time and you're having this conversation, inevitably you will have to, if you, as a designer, if you're working with clients, inevitably with every client, you're going to have to do the dance. And
Yes.
you know the dance I'm talking about.
Yes.
What is your budget?
Yes.
Well, our number is, and
Yeah.
listen, and it's funny, I would love it. It's like walking into a car dealer.
Yes.
Here's what I want to spend.
Yes.
Oh, well, we can give you this. It's like, no, I get you want to make more on that. We have become as a consumer society, we have become trained and accustomed to how the dance works.
Hmm.
You never give your real budget
Yep.
because they're always going to walk right up to your real budget
Sure.
with as little as they can possibly provide you.
Yes.
What's really interesting to me is in the literally hundreds and hundreds of conversations I've had with designers and architects, I have never yet gotten the feeling that designers are just trying to charge as much as they can. Now, there are some that have multiple profit motives,
Yes.
multiple silos of profit.
Sure.
Some, most make perfect sense. And you want your designer to make money. Look, if they're making a number off of product,
Hmm.
that's great.
Yes.
That's fine. They're still saving you money on that
Yes.
product. So
Yes.
if you're saving 40% on a sofa
Hmm.
and the designer is getting 15%
Hmm.
back, you're still saving
Yes.
a huge amount.
Yes.
There's a benefit here.
Yes. Yes.
It's mutually beneficial. When you get into trouble, there's an I don't know if it's been settled yet, but I was watching the Yankee game last night, and every time I see Aaron Judge now, I'm reminded of the lawsuit between Aaron Judge and the designer in Florida.
Yes.
And it's a big case, and it speaks to the industry and the reason why you want to have a bulletproof contract
Yes.
and an open relationship with your clients so that
Yes.
everything is as transparent as it can possibly be.
Yes.
That being said, there's also this clients have to be willing to listen to a designer to say, hey, listen, what is that feeling of joy every morning when you walk down the stairs into your foyer, into your living room, into through your dining room, into the kitchen? What is that feeling of joy every morning worth to you? Because that's money that doesn't necessarily show,
Right.
but it's felt.
Yes. Yes. I think, and I don't know. I think my conversations with clients around money and budget have evolved over the years as I've been doing this longer. And one of the first things that we talk about is that budget is not a dirty word, and that the reason that it's important for them to provide me with a budget is because I don't want to waste their time and their money having me source something that is not going to comport with their budget, whether that's that it's out of budget, or whether it's like, no, 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 Kristen, I want to spend more. I want to do, I want X, Y, or Z. So there are a couple of ways I really address that with clients that I think have been really beneficial. The first is I adore my husband. We've been married forever, and I use this anecdote, and and so we were designing our home in Dallas, and our architect wanted to know what our budget was, right, for the house itself. And we knew what it was, right? We'd talked about it. We knew, right? And so we're sitting in this meeting, and John's like talking around it and everything else. And the architect, John's doing the dance, right? And so finally, so I just said, John, for heaven's sakes, just tell him, right? So John tears off a piece of paper He writes it down on the piece of paper, turns it upside down, and slides it across the table, right? And the
Nice,
architect then
nice.
picks it up and reads it. And I'm like, this is so silly. So I'm like, please don't be John. Like this is we can talk about this. This is fine. And what I talk about is, that since you said, if you get to the upper limit, you're going to feel, taken advantage. I don't really want to spend this much, but I could if I, so I talk about that number as being your pain point. I say, what is your pain point? If we hit this number, or is this now going to be painful for you? Because if you tell me what your pain point is, then I need to aim lower, right? I don't want to hit your pain point. And they appreciate that very, very much. And those conversations end up by flowing a lot more freely then, because I've humanized it for them, and also I've said, look, if we get here, that's on me, right? That's, or that's on the two of us, because you have found something that you've decided that you really want to splurge on. And it's going to take us to your pain point or above your pain point. But we're doing that kind of holding hands and jumping off the cliff together.
And I imagine that conversation, while it takes place at the very beginning, it is an ongoing
It is.
conversation.
It is. It is an ongoing conversation. It has to be, because a lot of the projects that I'm working on, take place over, a long period of time, right? And with everything that's going on, in the world economically and in our business economically, um, you know, uh, prices are rising. And so, it means, and it may mean for some clients that they still have the same amount of money that they're comfortable spending, but the scope that's going to cover is now shrinking a bit.
It's interesting too because you can't have, and I feel like this is the disconnect.
Yes.
You can't have the conversation about money without having the conversation about feelings.
Yeah.
And I also think, and I want your take on this, that we live in a very complicated world. We live in a very fragmented world.
Mhm.
And depending on where you live is generally the vibe. You're in Texas. Someone
Yeah.
who's in Illinois or California or New York probably feels very differently than someone who's in Texas or in Florida. Whether you feel differently or that's just how the local politics and the news is projected, everything external affects us internally. It just does. It's
Yeah.
impossible not to.
Sure.
Home, shelter, shelter. Home is meant to insulate us and
Yes.
provide that cocoon,
Yes.
that feeling of safety. Not even, we can talk about safe rooms and fences and walls and doors, but that's
Yeah.
not even the feeling. It's the
Yeah.
it's the that feeling of safety. Like I am in my home. I feel more comfortable. I feel better. I feel happier.
Yes.
That's what design does.
It's
Because
absolutely what design does, in
if you,
architecture as well.
yeah, so the budget is a byproduct. The
Mhm.
budget is a tool. It's a means to an end.
Mhm.
And it's up to you to get your clients there. And with that, I'd love to walk through some of your work. And I wanted to start. I have a thing for kitchens.
Me too.
I could tell, and I wanted I wanted to start with Preston Hollow 4.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to the last image, to the kitchens. And it's funny because every year,
Yes.
and we are entering uh, what I call the silly season,
Yes.
which is where every magazine and every website starts. You just get inundated. You cannot avoid the lists.
Yes.
Here are the things you're going to see every year. Here's the
Yeah.
things you're going to see in 2026. Here's the
Yeah.
things you're never going to see again
Yes.
in
Yes. Yes.
the white kitchen.
Yeah.
It's always on both lists
It
every
is
year.
always
Mark
every
mark
year.
my words. This year, when you see the list, you'll see white kitchens. It's on both lists. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
As long as
I,
there's people who want white kitchens, there will be white kitchens.
this is so true. It's so true. Yes. Yes.
It's so funny too because the white kitchen has become the restoration hardware of the home.
Uh-huh.
You just have
It's
people who love bashing it for whatever reason. It's like,
yes.
I don't
Yes.
get it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, this particular image, the one of the kitchen, you do something that is, I don't know if it's consistent because you want it there or because all of your clients want it there, but the pot filler, it's just something that's so utilitarian and simple, isn't it?
Yes. It is. And and I have clients, typically I will say this is a client directed feature. They either really, really want it or they really don't. And so um, most of my clients, and I don't know if it's because I have a thing for kitchens, then and they see it, but I have to say most of my clients love cooking and they love to be in the kitchen, and therefore you see the pot filler because they see it as being very utilitarian and very important. So yeah,
And you know what's funny?
yeah,
It's one of those things that it's not overly expensive.
no,
It's not an extravagance. It's
no,
just got to be thought through.
yes, yes,
Question
yes,
for you.
yes.
How do you choose the location?
Of the pot filler,
Well, yeah, because I noticed that most, if not all, are offset.
yes. Most if not all are offset. Often it's because this is super functional, but often it's because the burners on the back are at a strength where it's like, okay, well, this is going to boil the pasta water more quickly. It has like a faster, higher BTU, and so that's that burner and offset. But and almost never would I want to have it center because I don't want it to be the thing that you look at when you're looking at the range. So yeah, I like it sort of
And
tucked
you
in.
don't want to distract from that tile because that tile is fantastic.
Yes, yes,
Just gorgeous.
almost always. Yes,
And I love how you paired it with the island and it looks like a dual waterfall.
yes.
Talk to me about stone selection. What's your process? Because everyone's got a different process for stone
Everyone
selection.
does. Gosh, okay, so I've gotten to be pretty um I guess definitive about how I handle stone selection. Builders always want you to like pick things, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it, not doing it, not doing it. I'm like, you put your cabinets in and I'll go select the stone then. Because I've just had it occur where we'll secure stone months in advance and it's now finally time to fabricate and don't there's a flaw in the stone or what have you, and now or we're short a slab, whatever it may be. So now I'm very I'm very specific about when I select stone. I like to go and preview stone before I show it to my clients. You walk a client into a stone warehouse and kid in a candy store, they are, their eyes are going everywhere, etc. So I like to so I like to have some places where I can sort of gently direct them. One of the things that is I think always challenging for clients is the slabs are shown vertically, and they don't people have a really hard time recognizing that unless it's going into a shower or a little bit of a backsplash, that that's going to be a countertop and you're going to be looking across it and you're going to be seeing it horizontally. So a lot of the markings that might or veining or movement that may bother you when you're looking at it straight on, will just sort of go away or flow away, once it's seen horizontally. um, but we look at the slabs. We can, if we select the slabs right and tag them right then and there. And then with computer technology and assist now, I mean, my, the fabricators send me the layouts. via email. They've got it all electronically laid out. Unlike back in the old days, you were there with the blue tape and the sink and you're moving it around and everything else. So now, so now it's much, much easier. And you can make sure that, you're able to really utilize every square inch of that slab that you possibly can.
Zone or triangle?
Zone, all the way,
The
all the way.
triangle still exists just because it is what it is, but I don't find many still have that conversation about the triangle anymore. It's almost immaterial.
Well, it is, and we now have so many more appliances, and people do so many more things in the kitchen, and you know, um, so and it's so different how people use their kitchen from from family to family, and so I think the zone is has really completely supplanted the idea of the triangle.
I have a process question for you.
Okay,
As I look at image 15 of 35 of this particular project, and I'm not going to test you. It's not a quiz.
okay,
It's a philosophical approach, I think.
okay.
There are designers nowadays are having more and more of their products professionally shot.
Hmm.
Because as the trade pubs kind of have gone away, you've realized that you have to be more of a self-publisher,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And so you have more and more of your projects professionally shot. There seems to be two schools of thought. One is, I don't know if it's the philosopher, if it's the photographer rather, or the designer, but there is a disappearing process of cans, outlets, switches,
Yeah,
plugs.
yeah.
But that is functional to the design. And it seems antithetical to me that a designer who creates a lighting plan, which is functional,
Right,
would then disappear it from the photography.
right.
What's the idea behind that?
Honestly, a lot of times, it is not something I particularly ask for. It's something that the photographer just does as part of their editing process. Um, and, um, interiors photographers sort of know that, that those sorts of things tend to not show up, didn't show up so much in the pubs, right? And so now they apply that principle across things. I don't really have a problem with being able to see cans or outlets or any of those other things. It is real life. And I think one of the things that I think, well, I'm very sad to see some of them, the fantastic magazines have gone by the wayside. I mean, there's some others that are doing amazing work and carrying the torch, and I appreciate that. Um, but I think that is, we're showing our work on Instagram or people are scrolling over to our page or what have you, and we are sort of our own self-publishers, if you will. Um, I think that there is something that's very uh, appealing, if you will, about seeing an image that looks more like what your home is going to look like, right? And so that's so when you don't see those things in my photographs, just tends to be because my photographer just whisked them out of the image. So
Personally,
yes.
it's frustrating for me
Hmm.
because one of the things I would love to talk to you about, but I
Yes.
can't, is the lighting plan.
Yeah.
And I ask about that specifically because that is something that you want to talk about. And it's not an add-on, as in it's not a free service provided. But if you want to talk about adding value to a space,
Hmm.
when I look at this image and I start to think about the possibilities, I would love to know what you did. Did you install an LED strips above the kick plates? How did you position the cans? Did you go with the 2 inch or did you go with the super micro 1 inch LED cans? Is there under counter? Is there, what is it? What is that functional? Because if it's at night and you just have the chandeliers, if you just have the fixtures that are hanging, you're not going to get functional lighting from it. And if you're a client who looks at the work that you do, it's not like most people would know, right?
Yeah.
But there's an art to the cabinets that are above with the glass front.
Mhm.
Is there internal lighting? Because I would imagine at night that just looks exquisite.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I when it comes to LED lighting and more specialized lighting, I do like to defer to a lighting designer. I think that they bring so much to the table in terms of their expertise of just all of the different fixtures. I mean, that the number of choices that you have now has proliferated dramatically. As we were talking about earlier in this conversation, with smart fixtures and all of the different, Kelvins and everything else that you can specify. So for the glam of it, LED lighting is great. You can get some wonderful, things in, strips inside of cabinets and whatnot. But there's so many more options available, and so I do like to defer to a lighting designer because I think they are going to really bring the knowledge and the expertise to this, that is going to be significantly enhanced over what I can provide. I can say this I can sort of make the sort of broad stroke, this is what I'd like. I'd like this to be this. I'd like this to feel this way. Again, going back to that sort of word, that feeling word, right? Um, I would like it to feel this way. I want this to appear, but they are the ones that are going to really be able to give us a more, executable, set of products.
Transitioning into it's one of the seating rooms with the cobalt
Yeah.
everything. Oh.
Yes.
So I chose this particular space because I can imagine myself doing the crossword in the morning
Yes.
in this space.
Yes.
Color,
Yes.
vibe,
Yeah.
symmetrically unsymmetrical.
Yes.
With the lucite back chairs to just add a function of modern depth
Yes.
to a traditional vibe.
Yes.
Just exquisite. And
Thank you.
take me through your thought process.
In that
As
room?
yeah,
Yeah. So these clients came to me. The house was already well under construction, and they realized sort of belatedly that they needed a designer to really help them achieve their vision. They imagined this room as being. It's interesting that you say a room to do your crossword because they imagined it as a place for them to, you know, do puzzles, to have board games, etc., as well as a place to sit and read, and be sort of at night kind of a swanky, sexy, lounge area for them to hang out or to entertain. And so it was always intended to be this very immersive room that also could feel very glamorous, and enveloping in the evening. These particular clients loved color, as you can tell, right? And they let me go for it in a big, big way. And we talked initially about this color. This is a color that she had seen in my work. She loved it. She was very drawn to it, and we just decided to just drench the entire room in that color, and then luckily found a fabulous rug that drew in all kinds of amazing jewel tones, etc. And so I was really able to bring in all kinds of gorgeous pattern, texture, color, etc. through the fabrics, and then really have a great time playing with the furniture. They were they're as a couple and a family, very international. He's from Sri Lanka, and they've traveled all over the world, and they really wanted to play with a mix of antiquity and modernity, which is easier to do when you're working with neutrals, right? But when you're working with color, that was a little bit more that was a more of a challenge for me to make sure that it all, that it all hung together, and that, everybody, all of the pieces were sort of singing from the same songbook. So, yeah,
Love that. And as we wrap this up, I want to end our little tour of this project
yeah,
with I want to make connect back to something you said that was from your blog entry
yeah,
from back in August. One of the unsung heroes of the room is the laundry room,
yes,
and I want to combine that with your love of kitchens
yes,
because it's really interesting now. Kitchens are not just a singular space anymore. You have a main kitchen for show. You may have a working kitchen. You may have a butler's pantry, a scullery, a
yes.
a kitchenette as part of a master suite. You may have an outdoor kitchen. But it's really interesting because I feel like, and I want your take on this, it feels like you take your same kitchen and love of kitchen approach to the laundry room. If I didn't see the dryer,
Mhm.
I could almost see this being a side working kitchen scullery or something of that nature.
Yes. Well, I think the laundry room is, I mean, it's such an important room in the house. It's one that, frequently gets kind of shunted off to a closet, with a stackable or what have you. And and I think that it's become much more important to have an expansive laundry room. I mean, when is the last time that you haven't bought something that says hang to dry, right? Do not put in the dryer, right? So now you need to have a space where you can hang basically your entire load of laundry. So you need that. You need drying racks. You need a place to fold clothes. You need a place to iron if because everybody's going to have to iron at some point in time or another. I'm so sorry to say to all of the wash and wear shirt manufacturers out there, but no. And so I think so you're going to be there. It should be, again, like the kitchen. You need to have zones. You need to have it be functional, where your hand's gonna go right where it needs to go for the dryer sheets or what have you. But it also needs to be a room that where you're happy to spend time, where it's not some dark windowless corner of the home and that, looks out onto, your neighbor's fence, right? You want it to have some charm and some personality, and that is not an expensive thing to do. That's just a matter of having some foresight and being willing to, hang a great piece of art on the walls, or have a great and charming, light fixture, or, what have you. And hardware, I mean, my goodness, hardware can really and truly elevate the most, standard, boring cabinetry, the white kitchen, if you will, to something that is that's truly special and elevated, and it can be easily swapped out, if it was at some point later on down the road you chose to change it.
I was going to end it there, but I can't because I
Okay.
saw something else, and I'm going to go long because I got one
Okay.
one more question for you. What appears to be the master bath.
Yes.
Um, there's a couple of things that you did here
Okay.
that I really do love, and the first is we have talked a lot about the importance of color,
Yes.
and sometimes the importance and value of color is the absence of color as well. And in this
Yeah.
master bath, you've gone with a white, but again, the backsplash on this shower, and I'm going to assume because it's floor to ceiling glass. I can't see the third wall of it, but I'm going to assume it's glass surrounded.
All of
Is
it.
is
Yes,
there is
yes.
there a matching window on the other side of it?
No, it's glass all the way.
No, no, no. Is there a window to the outdoor on the other? Is it like a symmetrical window? So you have the
Yes,
shower and then you have two windows.
yes.
Just extraordinary. So you have created a steam shower here that is just so amazing. You could stay in this shower for days. It's incredible. The use of tile and also the use of the cabinetry with sort of a traditional approach to the cabinetry, yet a modern approach to the waterfall and the
Yes,
countertop. Just it's an extraordinary pairing of material and strategy down to the oversized mirror.
yes.
And again, with the lighting, the way that you have it, I love this bathroom. It's one of those places where it's serene. It just
Thank you.
everything works together.
Thank you. Well, the the clients wanted to have that again, it's that marriage of, you know, of antiquity with modernity. And that was a room where we really, really worked hard to blend those two elements together, between, stone selection and the cabinetry design, which really that that cabinetry design, the fluted aspect of it was really before that design element had really taken off, and it appears elsewhere in the house. It was sort of our she was a classics major and studied Rome and Greece, etc. And so that was our nod to her love of that period of time. So that the fluting was meant to be reminiscent of, classical columns and that you would find um, in ancient Greek and Roman structures. So we brought that in there, and so it was just a subtle nod again to sort of what her interests were, to sort of kind of bring things back full circle to like listening very hard to what clients want, and and picking up on nonverbal cues, and so that was sort of part of why the whole project took on the feeling that it did, was her interest in all things relating to that period of time.
Well, I love it. I love your work. I love your
Thank
philosophy and your approach, and I
thank
enjoyed this so
you.
much. Kristen, thank you for
Oh,
taking the time today.
thank you so much, Josh. It was so wonderful. I'm sorry if my phone was going crazy while I was talking to you, but anyway, it was great.
Thank you, Kristen, for taking the time to share your thoughts, ideas. Thank you to my incredible partner sponsors, Pacific Sales, Kitchen and Home, Timber Tech, the AZEC Company, Best Buy, and Design Hardware. Their sponsorship of Convo by Design allows me to seek out sublime design stories from beyond the work itself and showcase unique personalities, chasing new ideas, and changing the way we think about design and architecture. And as I present it to you, so please give them an opportunity on your next project. Thank you for listening and sharing this journey of ours. 2026 marks 13 years of constant and consistent publication of the podcast with over 700 interviews. Just incredible. And I couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't want to. So please keep those guest suggestions coming, as well as thoughts about where you would like to see Convo by Design recorded live. Email convobydesign@outlook.com and follow us on Instagram, Convo by Design with an X. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, be well, stay focused and driven so you can rise above the chaos. Because we have at least 3 more years of it.